Mike's Daily Podcast.
Can we spend a moment talking about what happened yesterday? Oh boy. Let's just say I had to do a little bit of work yesterday to fix a bunch of stuff. I did a total MacGyver with gum, is what I did. And I fixed stuff just in time for important radio shows to be heard in the Bay Area. That's what I did. I was
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Using my brain at 5:45 in the morning, which is not the easiest thing to do, especially today.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I went to a cool party, and then afterwards I was going home with my lovely lady friend. But then we did own a lot of water on our heads. It was falling down, and it was all around my town, Podcastro Valleymont. There was lots and lots of rain, lots of water.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Because of this little thing called a river in the sky or whatever, it just dumped. And the last time I saw this
Mike's
was 2 years ago.
Daily
Or was it 3?
Podcast.
During the El Nina.
Yeah!
La Nina. Pardon me. My Spanish grammar is awful. So yeah, it came down. And it was so bad, it was starting to go up against the house, the water. Usually there's all these safety mechanisms so it doesn't go up against the house. And when it goes up against the house, that means it leaks downstairs in the basement. So I had a little bit of a leak down there. My lovely lady friend helped me. But I think I've got it situated where if we get the water again, it won't do that. So we'll see. Oh gosh, that was a lot of water. Wow, and that drives me nuts. And then it's like 10:30 and I finally go to sleep, so I haven't had much sleep, but here I am. Last show, I did not have enough time, and because certain platforms that I put Mike's Daily Podcast on require this show to be 7 minutes or longer, and I had only done 4 minutes, I had to add a bunch of compliments. I don't know if you heard the last podcast, but the guy that I produce a radio show, one of the many people I produce radio shows for, was complimenting the crap out of me, and I played all of those because I deserve it. I haven't patted myself on the back in a while. Some people, that's all they do. Some people, all they do is go how great they are.
And here's today's podcast picture.
I do this and I do that, or they whine about everybody else. Do I whine about everybody else? I do whine about things like, hey, if your references are over 30 years old, you gotta understand that even though I might be 50, I ain't gonna get all your references. If you're referencing movies that came out in the 70s, or songs from the 70s or 60s, I ain't gonna get all of it. And a couple people I know who are in their 60s love to do that. They're referencing, oh yeah, you know that movie. No, I don't. I love what my lovely lady friend said. In fact, she said the following to some 60-year-old friends of mine. They were like, oh, don't you remember this movie called something? And she goes, no, because I have movie amnesia. If I go and see a movie, I immediately forget it. And I'm like, yeah, that's my excuse. That's my excuse, too. Movies, some parts of movies stay with me. And I can quote to you every character. We were talking about Journey to the Center of the Earth. I know that was James Mason and Patrick Boone. Hi, it's Pat Boone again. Are you suffering from relief? Relief Factor. Kills pain. That's my name, Pat. Yeah, so he was in this movie. It was a very odd movie in the 50s. Very good sci-fi for the time. I think people James Mason was in a couple of interesting movies at that time. He was also in, was it 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? He did a couple Jules Verne movies, basically. Books. Or is that H.G. Wells? One of the two. Hey, I'm going to tell you what the podcast picture is in a moment, but first, the computer here at Café Anyway, the computer. I've discovered now I say computer instead of computer. But that's all right because I love the mountains And on my shirt is a button. And that's how people talk today. Did you know that? Hey, I did a little Bison Bentley, who was in the podcast picture yesterday. And the podcast picture before that, I think, was the Hanger. So I thought it was Anchor Brewing Company, and I had that wrong. It was actually Anchor Brewing in San Francisco, which... Oh, wait, no, I'm wrong. I thought it was Anchor. It was Hangar 17. Hangar 17 in Alameda. These are all places, well... Now you have to pay for the tours of all these places. It used to be Anchor was free. And Hangar 1 is... Why did I say Hangar 17? I think that was a movie. Hangar 1 is the name of this place. It's in Alameda. It's in an old hangar that the Navy had. Because that whole area was a big Navy base. And then they decommissioned it. And then Mythbusters took over a huge chunk of it and started blowing stuff up all the time. And then pretty soon they were like, okay, stop that. And then here, we'll just give the rest of this area up for rent. And now, once in a while, Mythbusters stop that. Stop blowing stuff up. But yeah, Hangar 1, they make vodka and such. And they do a tour. And if you do the free taste testing or you pay for the tour and then you have to do the taste test or the drink or the whatever afterwards, you're drunk, is what I'm saying. You can't just have like, oh, I'll sample this and that and be sober. That stuff is strong, is my point. Did I get that point across? Oh, and we also had Basil the Boxer in the last podcast picture. Yes. So we got this thing with the shutdown. I'm not going to talk about it right now because I think the big worry, and I'm not flying right now, but maybe you are, the TSA situation. Because they're not getting paid and they're disgruntled and people are doing the sick day. They will get paid eventually, but people are doing sick days because they're like, I'm not going to work if I'm not going to get a paycheck at the end of the week. So they do the sick days, which technically they're not getting paid for that day anyway. Or wait, they're getting the sick day pay. But later in the year when they really get sick and they run out of sick days, then they won't be getting paid. I think that's how it works. Don't quote me on that. Did you quote me on that? Okay, quote this as well. The podcast picture today is going to be fantastic. It's going to be really, really great. I'll tell you all about it. Hey, Brexit in England. Boy, that country moves slow on everything. What the heck? I thought the South was slow. It's all laid back. You go to a fast food place. Yes, I would like a burger and fries. And let me ask you,
Where's the beef?
But you wait and you're like, I could have sat down at a nice restaurant and gotten food for the amount of time I'm waiting here. Brexit, it's taking so long. And Theresa May, the Prime Minister, has basically submitted all of these plans to get out of the EU. And they got like 1 million people, all these representatives, and they're out. Yes, I totally did I guess I was stereotyping British people. And I apologize. I love your Doctor Who. And your Downton Abbey. God, how many other shows can I quote? Midsummer Murders. Hercule Poirot. I like the detective stuff mainly. As we go outside of Café Anyway, we're bringing Mike's Daily Podcast, Somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Your Monty Python. Your Benny Hill. Your... Oh, God, somebody put this TV set out here at Café Anyway on a sports channel, and I hate watching sports. And there's nothing on about sports at 5:54 in the morning. That is unless you're carrying some kind of cool game happening in Europe or whatnot. But please, don't leave this TV out here on television. I don't care about sports. So I love all your British shows, but the fact is that your country moves really slow with your whole Brexit thing. You wanted Brexit, and now you can't seem to get it done. So maybe you should just forget about it. like a couple, a really toxic relationship with two people that at one time loved each other, and now they just can't get out of the relationship, so they just stay together. Married couples, for example. That's what you are, England, and you're married to the EU, and you just can't get the divorce done. I know there's probably some late night comedian that just said the following that I just said, or the preceding, and said it much better and said it more concisely and made it funny, therefore, because humor is all about being brief. But the last show was brief and quick, and this is not. This is a little bit longer, because I had one more thing to talk about, and that is Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. They did a movie years ago called Wedding Singer, which became a musical, which now travels the country, which my mom went and saw, which my mom said, you know, I don't think the Drew Barrymore character should have stayed with the Wedding Singer because he's not going to make much money and they're going to have a horrible life. Okay. Never mind the fact that Drew Barrymore shouldn't have stayed with the Wedding Singer because his Jerry curl was awful. Never mind the fact that Drew Barrymore ends up with Adam Sandler yet again in 50 First Dates, which I've seen that movie many times. And the last scene, and I do remember some movies. I know it ends in Glacier Bay, and they're in a sailboat. And every day she forgets every day, so the next morning she wakes up, it's a completely new day, and her brain reverts back to some time 20 years previous when she was having a wonderful day driving with her dad, and they suddenly hit a tree, and a coconut fell on her head or something, and now she can't hold on to short-term memory, so... As Dan Aykroyd explained all of this in the movie. Alright, I do remember some things about movies. Dang it! I'm making references to movies you probably haven't seen. Sorry. But that's how it goes.
Sorry.
But then Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore did a movie that takes place in Africa, and I finally saw a little bit of it. And the 1 or 2 minutes that I saw of it, because somebody at a weekend, let's say maybe a part-time job, because it's the government shutdown and everybody has a part-time job right now, keeps the TV on as he leaves work and I take over for him. He leaves the TV on some horrible movie of some sort that I'm like, why would anyone watch this? Why is this even on TV? And it was the third Adam Sandler Drew Barrymore movie. And the joke was something about the guy, Adam Sandler's oldest teenage daughter in this movie. Apparently, she's ugly because her hair has not been done right. It's short. And Drew Barrymore goes, well, I'm going to the salon. I can have your hair fixed. And she goes, great. Next scene, her hair is flowing. It's like down to her shoulders. Somehow she's grown this red hair. She got red hair, the extensions. And now she's like this blossoming teenage girl, and Adam Sandler's like, no way, you're going back to the hotel room. And jokes about that ensue. And that's the kind of crap that he was doing with Drew Barrymore later on. To which you go, what? Who are these stars? Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore? What happened? They're... Huh? Yes, they were a thing at one time. But that's the end of the show. Next show, it's going to be the wonderful... what do you call them? People. Oh, we didn't say hi to the people today. Let's say hi to them. Hello, my fancy. This is Chely Shoehart, gift shop supervisor. It rained a lot last night. It sure did. Did you get wet? No. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Wow. This is you with a very little amount of sleep, huh? Yeah, that's what I am. Mike, you're offensive.
But if you get offended, that's the way the cookie crumbles. No.
Am I? No. Not really. The podcast picture I'll tell you about right after this next show. It's going to be Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Have a wonderful, hopefully dry day, so we can dry out a little bit.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!
This is an interesting picture of the bay looking over to... I think we're facing We're looking out from the East Bay over to Palo Alto from Hayward. And this is an interesting place called Ukrainia. It's near the Stonebrae Country Club in the Hayward Hills. And there was a preacher that lived here, as I recall from my memory, what I read on a plaque somewhere, that this couple had come from the Ukraine. That's right. Ukrainia is the site of the farm and burial place of the Ukrainian patriot and exile Orthodox priest. Oh, Agapius Hongcharenko. He lived from 1832 to 1916. And he came here with his wife, Albina was her name. Or was it Albina? But the interesting thing about him was he published the first American newspaper in Russian and Ukrainian. And it was called the Alaska Herald. And he wrote the first book for the education of Native Alaskans after moving here from San Francisco to the East Bay in 1873. And he continued to publish political literature, which was smuggled... I'm doing a Vanessa Bayer character, but was smuggled into Tsarist Russia. He was a prominent scholar, humanitarian, and early champion for human rights, and he's buried in the Hayward Hills near the site that this picture is from. See it now at mikesdailypodcast.com. Call me and tell me what you think at 336-MM-DAILY. And that was episode 1786, 1786. I don't think that was the big America year, was it? That was the 1776. Wasn't it? I don't know. But the picture is actually from around this date, very close to this date. 5 years ago today, just about 5 years ago. So check out that picture at mikesdailypodcast.com.